Former Vice President Harris' first major sit-down interview is drawing mixed reviews. I called her former. She's not former. She's current, obviously. And that one interview aside, she is still staying away from the news media. New York Post opinion piece declares the Harris campaign is riding a wave to defeat and could be setting a trap we've seen before. Joining us now, the author of that article, Julian Epstein. He's a Democratic consultant and former House Judiciary Committee chief counsel. Riding a wave to defeat, Julian?
Well, first, thanks for having me, John. I think the first thing you have to understand about the campaign right now is Trump is likely in the lead. If you look at the RCP average, the polling average, Harris is ahead by about 1.7. Biden was ahead by 6 points. Clinton was ahead by 5 points in the 2020 and 2016 elections. So she is significantly behind those benchmarks. If you look at where she is in this critical swing states, particularly the Rust Belts, she is underperforming Biden by a factor of about 2 or 3-fold. So if the polling errors are anywhere close to where they were in 2016 or 2020, then she is behind on this race. And in fact, Nate Silver, who probably is the most sophisticated in crunching all of the numbers, now has Trump at 56% chance of winning. So that's the first point. So she's likely behind. So what is she doing? Well, first, on the policy question, I think it's been somewhat confused. As you just spoke about with Peter in your previous segment, she swung left on economic policies with a new housing entitlement and price controls, which most economists, including economists on the left, have denounced as just very, very unsound and unwise. It's sort of a reprise of the public debt-fueled spending of the Biden administration, which just got us more inflation and didn't provide good results. And then where she's trying to swing to the political center on issues like fracking and crime and migration, there's been no explanation as to the change other than sort of the head-scratching, my values haven't changed. Well, you know, everyone I've spoken to says they just have no idea what that means. I mean, if you're for strong borders because you think there are a lot of reasons this country needs to protect their borders and we don't have the public resources to fund the kind of migration that we've seen of 10 million, how do you then support that last year when we had open borders and now say you want closed borders? It's just there's no real there in the explanation. So I think what she's doing is digging a deeper hole. And that leads me to the third point, which I think is the reason that the campaign is making a mistake right now. The Republican attack on her coming into the fall is going to be very severe, and it's going to go after both her authenticity and her preparedness to be in office. A lot of the questions about her preparedness came from voices on the left, including Biden himself and White House staff and Democrats on the left. So this is red meat for Republicans. And the decision to cocoon her, to do a Rose Garden strategy, I think is a big mistake because I think it's just going to underscore questions on the authenticity and the preparedness issue. Go ahead, Jonathan.
You don't think the Dana Bash interview on CNN helped her?
I think it was a wash. I think she passed, but I think having Waltz there was a mistake. I think it looked like she needed a chaperone. I think the questions from Dana Bash, the initial questions were tough, but there was a complete lack of follow-up. And look, if you think about Bill Clinton in 1992 going on Arsenio Hall, you couldn't get between Bill Clinton and a camera. He would take every chance he could to get to a news reporter, get a live interview, to showcase his incredible talents on policy and his understanding of culture. Same with Barack Obama. Remember 2008? Where did Barack Obama go when he wanted to talk about traditional marriage? He went to Rick Warren's church, an evangelical church, one of the most difficult venues for a Democrat. Both of those candidates not only pivoted to the center very clearly, but they went out and they explained themselves constantly, including in hostile environments and with adversarial press, and they dazzled the public. I mean, I was so proud every time I would see Clinton and Obama get out there because they were so skillful at that. The longer Harris resists doing that, the more you're going to see questions about her.
It's been 42 days since she became the nominee. She has yet to hold a news conference. And Jason Miller of the Trump campaign says she's still not really agreed to debate. Listen.
they refuse to accept the terms of the debate, which, again, everyone had already agreed to it. We'd agreed to it. ABC's agreed to it. The rules are the rules. They're not changing. But Kamala Harris and her campaign, they're afraid. Why did they wait 39 days to even do this joint interview where Kamala Harris spoke for all of 16 minutes and 29 seconds? And then now this is day 42 that Kamala Harris has gone without doing a solo interview. This is really bizarre. I think they're afraid and they don't want to put Kamala Harris out there. And you want to know why? Because she's going to have to answer for every bit of this last 3.5 years.
I'm not sure there are many times, Julian, when you would agree with Jason, but it sounds like you two are sort of on the same page here.
Well, I'm looking at it as a Democrat and seeing what's coming. Go back to '92 for a second. When Clinton challenged Bush to debates and Bush was demurring on it, Clinton sent chicken mascots, as I pointed out in the piece in the Post today, to all of his public events, 7-foot chicken mascots. And they were hilarious, and they made the point that Bush was chicken to debate. I think the Republicans are going to start playing hardball with Harris like that. I think you're going to have a challenge not just to one debate, but to 3 debates. And if she resists, they're going to start sending the chicken maggots, the chicken mascots, rather. I mean, the one thing is the media have been giving her a pretty, wet kiss at this point, a pretty much of a free ride. But as soon as she trips, as soon as there's a mistake, as soon as it looks as if she's covering something up, the media flips into what I refer to as the FOMO swoon, the fear of missing out swoon, as they did with Joe Biden. Democrats thought they could ride out the Joe Biden issue, sort of hiding his infirmities from the press, until they couldn't, until there was an event that made the entire narrative switch.
Yeah.
And so the idea of cocooning her in this Rose Garden strategy, it's very dangerous because that can flip at a minute, and when it flips, it's a torrent.
Julian Epstein, let us know if anybody from Kamala Harris's office reaches out to you. That advice there was pretty tough. Thank you.
Thank you.